Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. If you're watching this on the replay, give me a hashtag replay. If you're on this early, you are probably definitely replaying since I don't see anyone on yet. And since it takes a minute for Facebook to notify you that I'm on. So let me know that you're watching. Give me a hashtag replay in the comments. I hope everybody had a fantastic weekend and that you did something to take care of yourself. It's so important that we really focus on self-care. That's why I do these Mindset Mondays for you. It helps to get through the week, right? We are more successful when we care for ourselves. We can really step into the leadership positions we want to when we really focus on taking care of ourselves. So let me know that you're here. Say hello in the comments. I should be able to see them. I can't always, but let me know you're here to say hello. And I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Evelyn Knight. I am the founder and CEO of Childcare Business Professionals, which is a company that helps childcare business owners find success while achieving high quality, research-based standards that focus on what is best for the children, which should always be our number one priority. But I do help owners also really focus on just how to be successful. In our industry, so many owners don't know how to be successful, turn a profit while maintaining high quality, right? And none of us got into business to not make money, right? We deserve to turn a profit also and to have an income. But so often I see that owners don't. Not only do they not turn a profit, but many of them are putting their personal funds into keeping the business going. And if you're a director or a teacher out there, something you need to know about your owners, right? This industry has a lot of owners that make nothing, probably more than any other industry that I know of. Most people are not going to start a business to make no money or to make less money than they could with a job, right? So that's one of my big goals, is to show owners that that is not necessary. You can turn a profit while providing the best quality of care and taking care of your employees. I also really like working with directors so I can show them how to become the leaders that they were meant to be. And for some of you, you know that my director, Brandy, helps out a lot with that. She's incredible and amazing, so she does help out a lot with that. I'm also a child care center owner, just like you guys. I'm in the trenches a couple days a week. I go to my center, so I have that relatability. I know what it's like to be in a center every single day. I know what it's like to deal with the parents and to have staff, and we're doing employee evaluations right now as we speak. So I have that hands-on experience, just like you. I also have a podcast, The Childcare Business Coach, so you can listen to that. There's a lot more that I teach there. In the Facebook group here, I really try and focus on mindset and helping you guys stay focused to make sure we can get to the next level. In the podcast, I always focus on mindset. With my background, I just do. But I do focus more also on, like the business practice. So there is a lot of resources and tools for you guys. And Natalie, hello from Indiana. Hello. See, we are on a different time zone here on the West Coast, Pacific time. It's still pretty early. So today I am talking about stress and things we can do to manage stress. 2020, right? It has to be one of the hardest years that we've seen stress-wise. And there's always stress in life, right? There's always a disaster. You guys, if you've listened to me before, I say it over and over and over again. We are always going to face stress, some kind of disaster in the world, right? The only difference with COVID is that we're all doing it at the same time. That's it. That's really the only difference, is that we're all in the same boat at the same time. But there's always a tornado or a hurricane or a family member with an emergency, right? Or something somewhere in the world, or in our nation even, just in the United States alone. But right now, there's this collective stress. And I can tell you, I know sometimes in the United States, we get so focused and it feels like it's just us, but this is in the entire world, you guys. For my podcast, I get emails and messages from people all over the world. And that is one of the big things I'm hearing. And believe it or not, we're actually a lot better off than most other nations. It is just heart-wrenching sometimes when I get these messages from people in other nations, and there's really just nothing they can do. It's, well, there's always something. I can't say that. There's always something if we think outside of the box enough. But usually I can't help in other nations because I don't understand, like, you know, what they're going through. And it's quite interesting. I mean, I hear from people from Thailand and Japan and all over the place. So just, you know, keep that in mind. There's always something, you know, just that's a little bit harder out there. And I don't know if that helps, but it does help me. It doesn't always help. But, and I'm sorry guys, I'm going to drink a bit of my water. I seem to be there is so much smoke in our area. The smoke from the California and Oregon fires are just inundating us. So it is kind of hard on the sinuses right now, and the air quality here is awful. So I had to make sure I have my water here with me today. But that's why I really want to focus on stress today, because the stress levels that we are facing right now in the world are just so high, and it's collective, right? So if you get on social media or turn on the news or just connect with the outside world at all, you can really feel the tension. And you can really just feel that sense of despair that's happening right now, and stress, right? I mean, 5 minutes on any social media platform and any news really just makes you tense, and you can just feel it. To the point that I actually took a week and just kind of disconnected at one point. I only checked my business stuff on social media, didn't watch the news, just to kind of disconnect myself from all the stressors that were happening. So that's really what I want to talk about today. And the first thing I'm going to focus on is, how do you start your days, right? How you start your day is going to really set the stage for your entire day. And I would even challenge you to take that one step further and ask you, how do you start your week? Sunday evenings, I do planning. I like to plan for the next week. So I sit down with my calendar, look at what do I have going on this week. I really absorb that, and I plan my week out, right? Just to make sure I'm organized and I feel like I have a little bit of control of my week. And of course, there's always those things that come up, but at least I know what my week is going to look like, and I have that control. I'm not going in blind. But every morning, I make sure to start my day in a very positive way. I don't allow the negativity in my life first thing. And I also focus on me. I like to make sure that I'm awake before anybody else in my household. Hi, Karen, I just saw you pop up there. I like to make sure that I'm focused on me. I'm not mom first thing in the morning. I'm not the boss first thing in the morning. I'm not the business owner first thing in the morning. I am Evelyn, just me, right? And I also like, and if you guys have been watching me for a while, you know I'm a woman of faith, so everything I do has to be grounded in my faith. So I like to try and connect with God. So those are the first things I like to do in the morning, is just focus on me, focus on God, and bring in some positive affirmations, right? So I really just find something positive. I don't let my mind go to the problems of yesterday, and they try. I have to make a conscious effort to tell myself, no, don't think about that. Push that out of your mind. And I know that's hard, you guys. It takes practice, but you will get there if you practice. But I have to tell myself to push those things out of my mind. We're going to start positive, right? And we're going to get through this in a positive manner. So reading devotionals, reading anything positive. I listen to podcasts. I spend the first probably hour to hour and a half of my day just engulfing myself in this, you guys. So it's not like something small, and I do get up very early in order to accomplish this. Now, keep in mind, this doesn't mean that I do multitask while I'm doing all this. So as I'm getting ready, if I'm in the shower, while I'm doing my hair, while I'm putting my makeup on, I have something positive playing, like a positive podcast. And I know I've talked about this before, but I can't stress this enough. It's what you're putting into your brain is what's going to be produced into you, right? And it's it's going to really set the stage for how you're thinking and your mindset. It's really setting that stage. So I just put my earbuds in, and for those of you who know me and are around me physically, you know, I almost always have my earbuds on, right? And it's because every spare minute I have, I try to engulf myself in positive podcasts, right? I love music too. So I like to play music. I love music. So I always have something, right? So I really just make sure that if I'm doing something like just, cleaning the house, I'm listening to something that's helping me grow, helping me stay positive, right? So that's, and like with this video, this is something you guys could do, right? Most of you probably don't watch me talk. You probably just have me playing in the background. And that's exactly the kind of thing I'm talking about. So the other thing I do is I do exercise every morning, 7 days a week. It's so important. If you need the energy, it's just so important. And it doesn't have to be strenuous. It really doesn't. And it doesn't have to be long. It just has to be something to get you moving, right? Get that blood flowing. It really does help with lowering cortisol levels and getting those positive hormones to go into your brain instead of being stuck with these stress hormones. One of the things that really makes me nervous about this entire COVID situation and the stressors that we're seeing, the election and everything that we're seeing in our society right now, is that our brain can almost become addicted to stress. And not almost, it does. It actually does. And I'm not going to go into the brain science behind it, but I can tell you, you can look it up. The hormone levels, they get stuck kind of. And you get into a point where you become addicted to the hormones that are racing through your brain. And so even when things calm down, a lot of times we cause our own stressors because we're stuck there. And it's literally the hormone. So it is actually chemical. This is not like just your brain, So that's why it is so important during these times of stress to really take care of your brain. Make sure you're staying in control. Make sure you're not getting stuck in that state of overwhelm, right? So exercise is a huge part of that. Meditation, just pick what helps you. Do you like to color, right? Anything that just helps your brain. Adult coloring books, knitting, and you guys put some ideas in the chat, but anything that helps you just to kind of detox. And that's why also on Saturdays, I always like to start your week and asking you, like, how are you going to take care of yourself? I don't care if you spend 1 hour or 2 hours out of the weekend caring for yourself. You've got to do something. Got to do something to just help those levels of your brain, just bring them down, flatten out, so you don't get stuck there, right? I know how weekends are. That's when we as moms are catching up. That is our time to basically catch up at home, right? Because we work all week and now we got to catch up with our housework, any chores, any big projects. But it is so important to take some of that time for yourself. Even if you're just getting your nails done, you got to just take some of that time for yourself. So think about, how do you start your day every day? Start a morning routine. Even if you have to get up 15 minutes earlier. I'm not a morning person, I'll be the first to admit it, but I do get up really early to make sure I take care of myself. And when I first started the practice, I started by waking myself up 10 minutes earlier I did it like every 2 days. I tried every day and that was even much for me. So like every other day I would set my alarm 10 minutes earlier. And it did help. It actually did take me about two weeks to adjust to about an hour and a half earlier time, but it really did help. And it's funny because getting up that much earlier has given me more energy, right? Because I'm focusing on the things that aren't draining me. And I'm forcing myself to put those things that drain me out for at least, that first hour of my day, hour and a half, including my getting ready time, that I'm forcing just to take care of myself, right? So just so important. If you want more energy, if you want your days to go better, I know losing sleep sometimes seems like, oh gosh, I can't lose an hour and a half of sleep. But you'll figure it out. You'll adjust, even if you have to adjust your nighttime, because sleep is another thing for stress, you guys. For those of you who've been watching me, I have narcolepsy. Narcolepsy is a sleep disorder. It's amongst a lot of other things. 90% of people do not know what narcolepsy really means. They think they do, but it's nothing like what you think it is. And so I really, truly understand the importance of sleep, since I only go through 3 phases of sleep. I never go into 2 phases, never will again. So I can't stress to you guys, as somebody who will never have normal sleep again, how important it is for you to get good sleep. Sleep is key to stress. And for me, those of you watching me, sleep for me. I never get to sleep normal again. So be grateful. Tonight when you go to bed, just be grateful for the fact that you get to go to sleep and go into those 5 phases of sleep, right? Because there's people like me out there who will never experience that. And so be grateful for the fact that you can, and just embrace it and get that sleep. I cannot stress to you enough how much it improves your mental state, how much it improves your just ability to function, your mindset. It is just very, very important. There's a lot that I have to do in order to make up for the fact that I don't get sleep like normal people do. So my nutrition, I have to exercise twice as hard. I actually have to nap every day. Isn't that, I actually have a prescription for naps. So I literally have to schedule 1 to 2 naps a day in order to function. So just be grateful that you don't have to do that, and value the sleep and appreciate the sleep that you have. I wish I had before the narcolepsy. So the next thing I really want to talk about is analyzing your expectations. I want you to look at what you expect out of yourself. What are you asking yourself to accomplish, right? Do you even know? Do you even know at this point what you're expecting out of yourself? I would highly encourage you to start a journal and really look at what expectations am I setting for myself? Are they unrealistic? Am I expecting too much out of myself? Maybe I'm not expecting enough. Maybe I'm not challenging myself enough. Maybe I'm stagnant, and the stagnation is what's causing my stress, right? But really look at that. And with that, I'm always going to talk to you guys about having a vision for your life and your career, right? Which kind of should go hand in hand. What is your vision? Do you have a vision? If not, you got to get a vision. I do have a podcast episode on creating a vision and a mission. I highly encourage you to listen to it. It will help with the foundational pieces. For my members, there is an entire unit in our membership site on creating vision. That is absolutely where I want you to start with the work that you do with me, because without a vision, it's very hard to find success. Your vision is your roadmap to your success. It really is. And in life in general, and it will help you to lower your stress, because you will really sort through where you're going. You're not going to just float through life without any kind of, I don't know, roadmap, right? Any direction. It really will help you to get that direction. So you want to have a vision. The next point I want to talk about is how much power we give other people. So many things that we stress about are based on the opinions of others, right? My son had a talk with me last week, and it was really enlightening for me, because lately, I don't know why, but I've been really just focused on, oh, well, I can't do this because, people will think this or that. And he actually invited me to go for a ride with him. And he just basically said to me, Mom, and by the way, my son is 21. And you raised me not to care what anybody thinks of you. And you always told me that their opinions don't matter, no matter what you do. Somebody is going to criticize you, because hurt people, right? Hurting people want to hurt people. So they're always going to find something. So he said, when did you start caring what others thought of you? And I just wow, you're right. When did it matter to me? When did I start caring or defining myself through anyone else, which I don't, but I did start caring about judgment, and there's a lot going on in my life, and I just started caring about just how people would judge. And so it really opened my eyes, you're right. When did I start? And that has been a huge stressor for me. So acknowledging it really helped me to see it and to start ignoring it again, and to start just being I don't care what others think of me. I've done what I've done based on for me and for God and what He's wanted me to do. And so that's what I would encourage you to, is just really look into yourself and look at where have you given people power over you? Are you basing your opinion of yourself of where you're at on other people and not you. Okay, even are you comparing yourself to others? Are you really just caring what those around you think and the messages they're planting in your head? Or are you doing it for you? So important, you guys. If you watched a couple weeks ago, and I highly encourage you, if you haven't watched the video I did on failure tolerance, really encourage you to watch that one. I'm very, very transparent in that video. I tell you a lot of my story. I'm not going to go into it again. But if you watch that video, you'll hear a lot of what I went through. And if I cared what others thought of me, I would not be here talking to you today. I would not be a successful childcare center owner. I wouldn't own 2 successful businesses because I've almost lost my childcare center twice. I've had a few, but I almost went bankrupt twice. And I had a lot of people, including my family, tell me to give up, tell me I couldn't do it. And so, and thank God, I really just didn't care. I just knew who I am and the fact that I can. And I never let their opinions stop me. Did it make me depressed? Absolutely. It was the hardest time of my life, just not having the people believe in me, right? But I didn't let it stop me because I knew who I am. And so that's something I'd really encourage you is just really look at yourself, find that inner strength and power, right? Journaling, I'm going to say it again, will really help you get there. But don't define yourself by other people. Even the people who are closest to us can sometimes bring us down. And it's not that they don't love us. It's not that they're sometimes, I just said hurt people. Well, this is a different scenario I'm talking about now. This is where they do love us and they see us struggling and they see how hard things are on us. So they think they want to ease our pain and suffering. So they tell us to quit. They tell us to give up. And they don't understand that that's hurting us even more, right? They just say like, oh, just live with the status quo. If you're an owner, they're going to tell you things like, just give up, go get a job. I heard it all the time. How much money could you be making as a director? You guys know I have my degree in neurological psychology. So it was, you could have a practice. How much money could you be making with this practice, right? It was just always, you would have less stress. You could go work for somebody. But I knew that just wasn't me. And it wasn't my dream and it wasn't my goal and my vision. So I couldn't give up. So don't let those outsiders really influence what's you're producing, right? And it's hard. It is hard, you guys. And that's where I really suggest get a journal, pray, because it's hard when everybody isn't encouraging you. And find that person who is. I did have a couple. A couple of my employees really did encourage me and they were there for me. So find those who will and surround yourself with them, right? And again, that kind of goes back to the whole podcasting thing too. If there's nobody in your life, you can still submerge yourself in that world, right? Follow me, message me. I don't care. I get a lot of messages from you guys. I try to respond as quickly as I can, but one of my goals is to just encourage people and to help them get out of that pit. It's what God has gifted me with. So I really do like helping. So, and my members know, when my members are going through a tough time, I make sure that I'm available. My members get to speak with me once a month. We do one-on-one accountability calls. But for my members that are really going through a tough time, I do make myself more available. I try to meet with them at least weekly because I know how lonely it feels and how you can just feel like an island when things are really, really hard. I've been there. I've done that where I just felt so alone and I would just pray, and thank God I did have God on my side, so I was never really alone, but it feels very alone when you're in that situation. So I really do try to make sure I'm there for my members. Little known fact about me, I am also a certified life coach on top of everything else, but I don't really use it. So sometimes actually I do. For my members who are struggling, I do kind of put that life coach hat on and help them with their business, help them, get through. And right now, COVID is producing a lot of that. So the other thing I want to talk about is your negative self-beliefs. There's a lot of false beliefs that we put into our head, and what I really want you to listen to is I want you to start identifying that voice in your head that is just talking you down, that's telling you you can't, that's telling you that this isn't going to work, that's telling you this is too hard, that you're not strong enough. All those voices. And if you're watching in the chat, give me some of those voices that go through your head that, oh, I'm exhausted, I can't do this anymore, right? Or I don't want to do this anymore, or I'm not strong enough, right? So I want you guys to identify that negative voice in your head, and I want you to name it. Give it a name, okay? I'm not going to tell you guys my name, but mine has a name. I have a couple, and it's kind of funny because some of my employees can even identify when it's going through my head because there's, everybody has tells. And I want you to really just identify, and when those thoughts start coming in, and when that negative voice in your head starts popping up, talk to it and tell it, sorry, let's call yours Ben. Ben, I am not listening to you today. I know that you're telling me that I'm not strong enough to do this, but I am. I am strong enough. What I'm having you do in this situation is kind of, it's what I do to get to my subconscious mind, right? So your subconscious brain and your conscious brain are working together, okay? And what this is going to help you to do, and it's a little bit more complicated than this, and I'll give you one more technique after I explain it to help really bridge that gap, but I'm getting my subconscious brain to believe something about me, right? That my conscious brain may not believe, and it may not even be a reality, and I'll explain what I mean. And but there's going to be this gap now where your subconscious and your conscious are not aligned. So your brain is going to really work hard to align the subconscious with the conscious, okay? And so what happens is you start working towards that, working towards what you're placing into your subconscious in order to achieve that harmony between the two parts of your brain. So what I do is a lot of times I'll project my goals. I will start telling myself that I've already achieved them. Okay, so this is what I mean when I say, like, sometimes it's not really even true, but I will tell myself something like, I opened another childcare center, which this is one of my real goals right now. And okay, so I purchased another center, I'm open, we are flourishing, we already have a wait list. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting to be at this place in my life where I'm doing so great at this new center, and I'm about to expand on my current center, and I just can't believe things have turned out so well. I will literally say things like that to myself over and over and over and over again, right? Where I'm projecting myself into the future from a place of success where it's already happened. And what's happening is that is getting into my subconscious. And then my subconscious is saying, okay, this is who you are. My conscious knows I'm not, right? My conscious brain knows that this is not where I am, but my subconscious thinks it is. So they're going to work together to come together. And they will basically, it really pushes me to make it happen, right? And if you listen to my vision and podcast, I'm going to tell a story about how the first time I did this vision and mission work, I sat down and decided to come up with an audacious vision, something that seemed so huge. I did not think I could accomplish it, right? And I just decided I'm going to make this audacious goal that seems impossible. I've ended up finding that vision a couple weeks later, or gosh, it was actually a few years later. I ended up finding the vision that I wrote out, and looking at it, I think it was like 5 years later that I found it. Every part of it actually came to fruition. Every single part I actually did fulfill. So keep in mind, I created something at the time I did not think was possible, right? And 5 years later, I had fulfilled every part of it, and I had actually gone beyond it, right? So it's that narrative that you tell yourself. You will start going into that person that you need to be to make it happen when you really put yourself into it. I do, and you guys, if you saw my vision right now, some of your jaws would drop, Okay, I'm telling you, like when I look at my first vision of just wanting to have my center full and just wanting to be at a wait list and there was a lot more. It wasn't just that. That's actually pretty easy. But and I'm sorry, I know that's not as easy as I make it sound. I've figured it out, so I don't want to make anyone feel inadequate if you're not there. But I just when I look at it now, I'm like, wow, I didn't think I could accomplish that then. And now when I look at my vision, there were just like, you just keep coming up with these bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's kind of crazy what mine looks like now. But I'm on target. I can tell you, like, my 2020 goal that I set for myself seemed huge, right? And then COVID hit. And I was like, how am I going to get here? I set this big goal for myself. How am I going to accomplish it with COVID? I was there by June. I hit it by June. You got to just become that person, and it really does help with your stress level. Okay? You have to tell yourself the narrative you want to believe. Do not let that negative voice become who you are. And that's why I want you to name your voice. That negative voice is not you. That's causing you so much stress in your life. That is not you. That's why I want you to give it a name. I don't want it to be who you are, right? I don't, like Karen, if you're watching, I don't want your negative voice to be Karen. My negative voice is not Evelyn. It is somebody different. She has her own name. And when she starts talking to me, I tell her, okay, you're not talking to me today. So I don't want to say the name in case it's one of your guys' names. I don't want anyone to feel bad. That's what I chose my negative lady to be. But definitely name it. Call her out when she talks to you and tell her that is not who I am every single time. This is who I want to be. It is hard in the beginning, but eventually your brain will start believing it. And eventually it'll help you to become that person. Those of you who've known me 10 years ago, I am a totally different person today than I was then. And my life is way more in alignment, even with everything that's going on in my life, which my life is a little crazy right now. I'm still more in alignment. I'm still more in a place of joy, and I'm still a lot more successful. So I'm going through one of the hardest seasons of my life right now. And I'm still able to get through this because of the fact that I really just control the narrative in my mind. And it's not easy all the time, you guys, but it takes work, but I'm telling you, it is so incredibly worth it. The next thing I want to talk about when it comes to handling stress is we really need to change our mindset around change, okay? I don't like change. I never have in my life. I've really been one who runs from it. I procrastinate my way around, just whatever I can to avoid it. But I did a shift, and it really, really helped in my stress levels and my level of success in life, where I decided that I was going to embrace change. And this is something I've done throughout my entire life, where if something scares me, or if something really, like I have a phobia or something, I force myself to face it. I used to have a huge phobia of public speaking. It was huge. I would freeze up. I would just get totally frozen. So doing something like this, talking to you guys behind a camera, would have just given me literally an anxiety attack. I would be hyperventilating. So I forced myself to take some communication classes in college, debate, different things like that, where I had to go on stage and I had to face that fear. So now I have no problem with public speaking. I can talk. I mean, I still get kind of jittery. I'm not going to lie if I'm in front of like 400 people, but I can do it just fine. And once the initial jitters, I get over it. Some of these videos I do that I stream to you guys some of them have thousands of people who watch. And I've just been able to get over it because I face my fears. I don't allow them to control me. I'm going to take command of them. Are they still there? Yeah. But I learned how to command them. And that's where change, right, is we are so afraid of change. So we really just need to embrace it, and we need to face it, and we need to acknowledge it. What I really want you to do is acknowledge this is something new, and it is something that's going to be uncomfortable. It's not going to be easy, but I can do it. I'm going to face it, and I am going to kill it. And the important thing is to really acknowledge that, right? Is to know change is coming, but I am good with change. I can take it and I am going to run with it. Acknowledge the fact that it's going to be uncomfortable. It will, and that's okay. We are not always going to live a life of comfort, right? Life is 50% good, 50% bad, 50% comfortable, 50% uncomfortable. Embrace the bad, embrace the uncomfortable, let it be, and just go with it and learn to take command of it, right? It's when we hide from it and when we run from it that we cause really hard times in our lives. There was a time where I was reactive instead of proactive, and I would always react to situations and instead of being proactively trying to stop these disastrous situations from happening. And that was really what led me to almost losing my business twice, right? It wasn't, I just wasn't taking action. I was freezing and I was letting fear overcome me. So again, watch that video I did on fear tolerance. It will really, really help with your stress levels. It wasn't the last video I did, but the one before that. And in the comments, I'll probably put what the date was on that one, or maybe I'll just actually put the link so you guys can get to it. But embrace change. Acknowledge that the change is going to be uncomfortable, and also know that you are going to be better on the other side of it, which comes to my last point. The hardest times in our lives create the most character, and they really shape who we are, right? I'm sure you can look back on your life and look at something in retrospect and see how it has made you a better version of you today, right? Eric Erickson, which is one of my very favorite psychologists, has his phases of human development, right? And at the end of life, you know, he talks about how we analyze our lives and we're either satisfied or dissatisfied with our lives. It's something I always bring myself back to in almost every major decision I make in life. I just kind of look at when I'm at the end of my life, how am I going to really view my decision here, what I did here? Is this something that's going to make me feel satisfied with my life or unsatisfied? And so think about that when you're looking at the hardest times in your life, right? At the end of your life, how are you going to see how you made it through this? How we made it through COVID and everything else we're going through, right? On the other side of this, you get to choose the person that you're going to emerge from this as, no matter what you're going through, right? Maybe it's not just the COVID stuff that is making your life hard. For me, I'm going through a lot right now, and it's not just COVID, but I can choose the person I'm going to be on the other side of this, right? But I have to make the conscious effort and decisions to be that person. Am I going to live with regrets from the decisions I made right now? Am I going to be stronger for the decisions I made right now? What position is it going to put me in? I often talk to my future self. I write letters to my future self. And I just, and again, going back to that brain piece I was talking about, I actually write letters to my future self thanking me for making certain decisions, right? I just tell myself, thank you for being the person that you needed to be to get through this. Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for having strength. And I basically, again, am bridging that gap between the subconscious and the conscious brain, right? But I'm also acknowledging the things I need to do, the things I need to really, the mindset I need to be in, and those actions I'm going to need to take to get through this, right? So I encourage you, write that letter to your future self. If you've never done it, write a thank you note to your future self for stepping up and being the person that you need to be to get through whatever you need to get through. While you do that, you're going to reveal to yourself a lot of the actions that you need to take. You're going to see like, oh, I need to really start getting out there and talking to people with children in order to up my enrollment. I need to actually put myself out there so people can get to know me, so they get to know my center. That way I can make my center flourish and I establish this amazing reputation within my community, right? So as you're writing that letter, thanking yourself for the things you're going to do, you're going to start revealing things to yourself that you need to do. And what I would also encourage you is put a date on it. When I write a letter to my future self, I don't write it too far in advance. Not always, sometimes I do. But usually I'll write it about a year in advance. Sometimes I just need to get through the next couple months. I need to get through the next year. Sometimes I'll write a letter to myself just getting me through the next 3 months. It's whatever I need to do to really just sort through these thoughts and to get to that place, right, as the person I need to be to get there. So something to think about for you guys. I highly, highly encourage it. It really just, the growth you want for yourself, that person you want to be, right? Those are the things I want you to think about. When you are through whatever it is that you're trying to get through, the person you want to emerge as, those are the things I really want you to focus on, right? And acknowledge to yourself that you have a choice. You get to emerge as the person you want to be. Who are you going to choose to be? Okay, during the hardest time. The last thing I do want to mention is, yes, the greatest growth comes through the hard times, but you don't grow during those hard times so much as you grow after. It's that retrospect, right? And in order to really, really just catapult that growth, and you can grow during, definitely. I'm not saying you can't. But in order to really catapult that, you need to reflect. You need some time to just sit back, think about, and absorb what's happening. And that's where I really encourage journaling. Journaling is so important to help you to get to that next level. When you journal, you're really going to reveal those things to yourself. So if you don't do any other practice that I've talked to you guys about today, I would highly encourage you to at least start journaling. Number one thing above all the rest. You know, I know the devotion, everything else is really important, but the journaling is really important because it's going to help you really just filter through and take your growth to that next level. It's going to help you sort through your thoughts and see where you've grown, and it'll really just, it really does help. I was listening to one of my coaches that just really inspires me, that I engulf myself in, and that I actually work with, which she's on my newest episode of my podcast, which I'm so excited that she actually recorded a podcast episode with me. She's just an amazing person. But I was listening to one of her teachings, and she was talking about how through her life, she's traveled around the entire world. She's worked with some amazing leaders throughout the entire world. I mean, just worked on like multi-million dollar deals, huge deals. And she said that one of the things that she's learned through life, and this is somebody literally who's grown up around the world, around highly successful people. So the one thing every single one of them has had in common is that they all journal. Every single one of them keeps a journal. So getting to that next level really takes reflection. It's going to really help you manage your stress. So I highly encourage you, get a journal and start journaling. Even if you start with once a week and work your way to every other day and then work your way to daily. One of the things that I do every night, I do a brain dump, where before I go to sleep, I will just take a piece of paper. And sometimes, you guys, it's an envelope that maybe I was checking the mail and it's on my nightstand, and I just write. It doesn't have to be a big deal, it doesn't have to be official, but I just dump all the stressors out of my brain. And it can be notes on your phone, right? It doesn't have to be anything like an official journal. But I do a brain dump, get it all out of my brain. Sometimes it takes me 1 minute. Sometimes it takes me 30 minutes because I have to sort through thoughts. If that's what you need to do for your journaling, that's fine. It doesn't have to be this huge event. Just get it out of your head. It's going to help you sort through it. You will naturally start sorting through it. It'll just happen. And you'll naturally have those days that take 1 minute and naturally have those days that take 30, sometimes maybe an hour, right? But the longer it takes, it means you've got more to sort out. But once you really start putting pen to paper, it does change how your brain works. It is a little bit different, and it doesn't have to just be pen to paper. It could be on your phone. You could type it out on your computer, but it really does help you sort through things. And that is where you are going to get through the next level of growth. It is where you're going to be able to really sort through those stressors and take control and command of them. So that is what I have for you guys today. I also do have one last, just an announcement for you. Next week, Christina Richmond, my financial advisor, who you guys have probably seen if you're one of my members, she teaches a membership class once a week on financial literacy with me, and her and I are actually teaming up to bring you guys a series. I've done the series before, but I've been asked to do it again, so we're doing it again starting Monday of next week. The recession proofing your childcare business. We are changing it up a little bit because Christina is helping me redo everything so we can really put more of that financial piece in there. So join us Monday every day next week starting at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Christina and I will be online. We will actually be streaming through Zoom, but I still should be able to see your comments. And it will be here on the Facebook page at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to be doing the series on recession proofing your childcare business. And so I will not be doing Mindset Monday this coming Monday, since we're going to be doing that every day of the week. So we will be live Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. We are going to have a bonus session on Saturday, and I think the entire curriculum that we ended up coming up with is 7 days. So it's going to be Monday through Friday starting on the 21st, and then Monday, Tuesday, the next week. And that's about it. That's pretty much, for her and I combining our efforts, it's a pretty big series. Everything will be pre-recorded, so if you can't make it live, you will be able to watch the replay. So I hope everybody has a fantastic week. And I will be posting that newest episode of my podcast in the group soon, so you guys can listen to it with Kyrie, my advisor. But everybody just stay positive, start with your journaling, start your days off right, and hopefully let me know if that helps with your stress levels. Have a great week, everybody.